That's false.
No, what I claimed...
You just lied.
What? No, what I claimed was...
Then I say so that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
This video will cover 5 interesting things happening inside and outside the church, starting with number 5. Mike Todd's Transformation Church brings a Cybertruck into church. Mike Todd, whom we've covered in several videos on this channel, recently launched an album. He canceled the church service and used the time to promote something that looked like demonic Grammys. You can see a Tesla Cybertruck drive through the crowd and deliver one of the rappers to the stage. Mike Todd's absurdity and attention-seeking reached a new level. We want to ignore him, but are grieved that thousands of people still follow him and consider him a true preacher of the gospel, when, in reality, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing who is exploiting his followers financially and enriching himself. Mike Todd is terrible news. Mark and avoid him. Number 4, Speaker Mike Johnson. At first, Mr. Johnson couldn't answer a straightforward question of whether the newly elected representative was a man or a woman.
Mr. Speaker, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will. And I'm not going to engage in silly debates about this. There's a concern about the uses of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say about that.
When people entrusted with the responsibility of governing our nation struggle to speak the truth boldly, you know we are in deep trouble. Once people started calling Mike out, he quickly clarified his position.
Hello, everybody. I just want to make a statement for all of you here and be very clear. I was asked a question this morning at the leadership gaggle, and I rejected the premise because the answer is so obvious. For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
While we agree that every human must be treated with respect and dignity, we equally must boldly speak the truth without compromise. From the comments, you could tell that many people were not pleased with Speaker Johnson. One commenter tweeted, "I'm almost convinced that you can't be strong Christian and a successful politician at the same time. Not in this country today. I wish someone would prove me wrong." We're grateful that Speaker Johnson clarified his earlier statement. The only way to restore sanity in America is to share the gospel of Christ with unbelievers, speak biblical truth even when it's not convenient, and publicly and privately defend the truth. God is the creator of all humans. He doesn't make mistakes. And what he said in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, which Jesus confirmed in Matthew chapter 19 verse 4, still stands. He made them male and female. Number 3, Oklahoma brings the Bible back to school.
I'm excited to announce today that Oklahoma is the first state to bring the Bible back to the classroom. Today we purchased over 500 Bibles that will be in the AP government classrooms across the state. Bible just like this. We have the Bible, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. These are foundational documents in our nation's history. Our kids have to understand the role the Bible played in influencing American history. It's very clear that the radical left has driven the Bible out of the classroom, which leads to a lack of understanding of American history. We will not stop until we've brought the Bible back to every classroom in the state.
Amid the craziness in our country, this is good news. For those who argue that bringing the Bible back to school promotes one religion over others, you must understand that Bible reading in schools was a common practice in this country for many years. How have our students performed since prayer and Bible reading were removed from schools? We've shown you this chart, but it's worth repeating, so you understand why putting God back in his proper place in our society is critical.
Let's look at some charts of what has happened in America since prayer and Bible reading has been removed. Look at this chart for morality. Birth rates for unwed girls, 15 to 19 years of age. Look what it was in 1963 before biblical reading was removed. Look at it, it has tripled. Okay, look at this chart now, violent behavior, violent crimes. The number of offenses since 1963 till 1991. And by the way, the current stats are even higher. But look at the number of offenses. It's gone tenfold since Bible reading and prayer have been removed from the public schools. Look at this chart, our educational achievement. Our SAT total scores have dropped from 980 in 1963-62 when the Bible was removed to 910. Look at that downward spiral since the Bible and prayer have been taken out. Look at family stability. Single parent households where the female is the head and there's no spouse present. Look at the rise in one-parent homes.
Finally, we must remind ourselves that Christians should not relinquish their values to accommodate everyone else. If you do, it's a matter of time before you are forced to accept everyone's values that go against yours. Let's bring the Bible back to every school in America. Number 2, the car maker Jaguar caused self-inflicted reputational damage to its brand in just 30 seconds. The Jaguar's latest advertisement has sparked widespread criticism, leading to what many call a self-inflicted blow to its reputation. In just 30 seconds, the ad, for whatever the intention was, alienated a significant portion of Jaguar's audience due to its perceived tone-deaf messaging and controversial and even demonic imagery. Critics argue that the campaign failed to align with the company's values or connect meaningfully with its core customer base.
What the blinking heck is this? Jaguar. The name alone evokes images of racing green paintwork gleaming in the sunlight. For decades, Jaguar has been synonymous with performance and style. So what the blinking heck is this? It's as though Jaguar asked AI to create the wokest, most pretentious, gender-ambiguous piece of self-satisfied A-level art using fridge magnet mottos.
The backlash has escalated on social media, with some customers expressing disappointment and even pledging to cancel or avoid the brand entirely.
Of course, it's all kicked off on X. This video has now been seen more than 20 million times with thousands of comments, which, if that was the point of the ad, obviously is a success, but at what cost to the brand's appeal? Elon Musk himself replied with, "Do you sell cars?" To which they replied, "Yes, we'd love to show you. Join us for a cuppa in Miami on the 2nd of December. Warmest regards, Jaguar."
The intriguing thing about this is that there was no single car shown in the ad, which leaves everyone wondering what the purpose of the ad was. Notice subliminal messages such as live, vivid, delete ordinary, break molds, and copy nothing. The whole ad looks and feels demonic. We have Hollywood to thank for normalizing demonic tendencies in its movies. Today, many companies are promoting Satanism in their advertisements, and many people are unaware of it. As for Christians, the Bible warned us in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, to be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. The more our society opens itself to demonic images, the more it becomes normalized. But don't forget that the mission of Satan, who is also known as the deceiver, is to kill, steal, and destroy. Number 1, Elon Musk confronts BBC reporter.
You know, who's to say that something is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of that? Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me?
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? the point at which you say that there is this is misinformation, like who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause...
Yes, so the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false. Do you agree that that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
what hate
that
speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter,
right?
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
but just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, my For You, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use.
You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that For You feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it.
But you said
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
my
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen the For You hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed...
You just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not... Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
then how would you know?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on.
Notice how the reporter made a blanket accusation, but when Elon pressed him on the disinformation allegation, he could not give one single example to back up his false claims. Instead, he wanted to change the topic quickly.
We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation.
Amazing.
You've changed the COVID misinformation.
Has BBC changed its COVID misinformation? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so. You thought it wasn't?
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear.
There is so much we can learn from this. When people accuse Christians of spreading disinformation or being intolerant, press them to give specific examples and don't go in defensive mode. Amid our perverse and crooked world, Christians must be wise. Jesus said the following in Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, "Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." As the return of Jesus draws even closer, we will see disturbing things happening around us. But remember Jesus' word in John chapter 16, verse 33, "Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world."